Hi, my name is Sherry Sloan, and today I'm going to show you some introductory drawing using Designer Gravit. Just really easy stuff, just to get you started on basic drawing. This is really for people who have never drawn before with a computer. So as you see from the image, we will start with adding text with shadow. We will draw an oval, a perfect circle, a rectangle, a perfect square, a rounded square, a triangle, a pencil-drawn blob, another blob, and a star. And you will need a color palette to get this going. If you do not know how to create a color palette, I suggest you watch a previous video that I made, and that will show you how to create a color palette. So once you have your color palette, let's get going, okay? Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to just create a size of our canvas. I just like to make, for this assignment, something square. So we're going to do 800 by 800 pixels. All right, so next we're going to add text. And without showing you how everything works, I'm just going to start showing you how a few things work, especially for the beginner drawer. So for the text tool, it's at the top here. And if I click on the screen, it just puts your text here, and I can go ahead and start typing. Oops. Sorry, I have to click inside there. All right, so now I'm going to click out of it, and notice how a blue box appears around it. That means that we can still affect what's inside that blue box by coming over to the right inspector panel. And I'm going to go ahead and choose a cool font by clicking on the Open Sans, and then all of the other fonts come up. I'm just going to choose a random one. I'm also going to change the size, so here's size 20, and I just can scroll up to change the size. And next I forgot to add my color palette, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So to add any image, so your color palette right now is an image. So to add any image, it works just like this. You're going to go into File, Import, Place Image. Just that easy. And then you're going to find yourself a color palette. Just move it to the bottom corner. All right, so let's change the color of our text. So we're going to go back to our text and click on it once. Now off to the right, you'll see that the color, there's a little eyedropper there. And if you just hover on a lot of things in Designer Gravit, you'll get lots and lots of tips as to how to use it. So if you're learning, it's a good idea to pay attention to what's in those boxes. All right, I'm going to click on the color, the eyedropper, and drag over to the color that I want my text to appear. And there it goes. So next I want to put a shadow behind my text. So with the text chosen still, if I scroll further down, I'll see that there's, under Effects, you'll see Drop Shadow. Now when it comes to the drop shadow, what I suggest is you scroll, and just like scroll a lot to see what happens. Just go up and down and see, okay, that goes left and right, and the bigger the number minus, it goes left, and the bigger plus, it goes right. So I like mine just a little bit. There we go. I'll put mine at like 5. And then the same thing is, oops, I have to click it, apparently. And now the Y one. So the same thing is going to happen with the Y one. This time I'm going to go, I don't know why it keeps pushing that up. So if I go way down, negative, it goes up. If I go positive, it goes down. So I'm just going to put it at a nice sweet spot. That looks nice. I have it at 3. Now this blur, if I put the blur at 0, it gives you a really solid shadow. We don't want that. We want a nice blur. So we're going to blur that to about 5. And there we go. I have no idea why that random 1 is there. Huh. Must be a glitch. Well, whenever my stuff glitches, this is exactly what I do. I make sure it's saved, of course. Always save it. I'm going to save it to the cloud. I can give it a name. And now I'm just going to, notice up in the, so it's not done. Look in the top right corner. Make sure when it's saying synchronizing, you don't do anything. All right, I'm just going to refresh it. It should bring me, before you refresh, you always save. And it's gone. So it's, sometimes with this free software, there's just glitches. Okay, so next I'm going to start with the oval. And we're going to, there's a shape tool here. Now if I click on, or if I hover over the arrow, actually I think I have to click on it. If I hover over line, it tells you what line does. And there's a little video that will help you. Same thing with rectangle, same thing with ellipse. We're going to start with the ellipse. But if you notice to the right, these letters, these are your hotkeys. So if you want to have if you want to do it quickly, you can just press the letter E and you'll be on the ellipse tool. So right now I have the ellipse tool and I'm going to just draw an ellipse. And there we go. Now I want to change the color of it because I want it to match my color palette. So it's still chosen. So I'm going to come over to the right and where it says fill, I'm going to grab the eyedropper, let it follow me, and grab a color from my color palette. When it comes to the border, right now it probably has a 1 border. I'm going to change that to, I don't know, like a 4. Add my eyedropper and go to another color. And now I have a light pink border around my oval. All right, so now it's time to draw a perfect circle. And we're going to do that the same way we did the ellipse, except this time we're going to hold the Shift key down. With a lot of drawing, I'm going to use my E key this time to get my ellipse tool. So I'm going to press E, and now I have my ellipse tool. You can even see it at the top lit up. So I'm going to hold my Shift key down, and it makes a perfect circle. A lot of drawing programs work that same way. In fact, I think all of them do. So if you hold your Shift key down, it will, as you're drawing, it will do something more perfect. All right, so I'm going to change the color of this. And that also has a border. Just have to scroll down. And I'm going to make it a little thicker. And change the color of the border there. And there you go, a perfect circle. So let's get to the rectangles. So the rectangle is in the same spot. We're going to click and drag to get a rectangle. And don't color it in yet, we'll do that in a minute. Next I want to make a perfect square. So if you can think about it, how we just made the perfect circle by holding the Shift key down, we're going to do the same thing with the square. Except I'm going to press the R key instead of clicking up at the top. That is my rectangle key. And this time I'm going to hold the Shift key down and drag. And now I get a perfect square. All right, now I want to have a square with rounded corners. Okay, to make this square with the rounded corners, why would I redraw a square when I can just copy and paste? And of course you can use Control-C, Control-V to copy and paste. If you're on a Mac, that's Command-C, Command-V. But instead, I'm going to show you something that a lot of drawing programs also do. If you're on a Mac, it's the Option key. If you're on a PC, it's the Alt key. I want you to hold that key down and drag your square over. So hold it down, drag your square over. You now have a second square. So I love that feature. I use it so often. So let's get these corners rounded. I'm going to double click on my square. So right now I have a single click. That gives me the blue outline. When I double click, I get these little red circles in there. If I pull the circles, the corners round. So you can decide how round you want them or how, just a nice subtle round. And there you go, there's your rounded circle, rounded square. Okay, next is the triangle, and shocker of all shockers, it's up here as well. So is a polygon, so is a star. And whenever you're working with these, if you want to learn more about making interesting stars, you might want to click on Learn More. If you want to learn more about making interesting triangles, you might want to click on Learn More. But of course, we're just going to make a simple triangle. I didn't hold down any shift key or anything, and there's my triangle. Let's go ahead and change some of these colors of these objects. So of course I could click on the object and I could click on the eyedropper just like I've been doing, and I can color it in, give it a border. Make it a 3. I've been making everything else 3, and change the color of my border. So I could do that every single time. But let's say I want all of these 3 colored in and bordered the exact same way. I can drag my mouse over all 3 of them, and now you see they're all selected. They're all pink around the edges, and those were pink around the edges. I have 3 things that are gray, so that means I have 3 items chosen, selected. So now I can do one move with all 3 of them. So I will change the interior of all of them. Have I used? Yep, I've used all the colors. I'll go back to this pretty pink. And then I can change the borders of all of them simultaneously. So I can change them all to 3. And then I can color these borders in. And now I did that all at once. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a star. Nice. Now notice how my star is on top of the word practice. If I wanted to put my star behind the word practice, that involves understanding layering. Because I drew my star last, it's actually going to be on top of anything I put it on. And since I drew my words first, my words are going to be under everything. So my words are going to be under everything that I just did. To undo your last move, there's an undo here, or as you see from the hotkey in the top right corner of that black box, it's also Command Z if you have a Mac or Control Z if you have a PC. So to get the star underneath practice, I need to bring it down in the layers. And here are your layers. So your text, that's what I have selected now, that's why it's gray here, is your bottommost layer. But if I go to the top and click on this polygon, you'll see that my star now gets the blue box around it because that is my uppermost layer. And now if I drag that star, and you can even change the name of it. So if I double click the word polygon, I can change this to star, which, I mean, that makes more sense to me. So I can drag this star on down, keep dragging it, and I can drag it below my text and let go. And now if I drag my star up to my text, it's behind it. So let's change the colors of the star, and then we'll work on our scribbles. Okay, so the next tool I'm going to show you is called the pencil tool. I actually don't ever use it, but I think it's important to show because I think people who are real drawers can use it. It's called the freehand tool here. And again, all of those little videos teach you more. But so for the freehand, if I just drag it, it works just like a pencil. Your goal is to enclose. And I guess there are some situations where that would become necessary. Notice how I did do my enclosure. I usually don't do it well, but it did enclose, and now I have all of these squares. Those are just vector points that I can edit later. That's for a different video, not this one. But do know that once you create your shape, you can edit more. So if you work better with a pencil, use the pencil. I want to use the pen tool next. So I'm going to go up to where I got the pencil tool, and I'm going to grab the pen tool. The P is the hotkey for that. So for the pencil tool, that works a little bit differently. With that, you do several clicks. And every time you make a click is where it bends. Now watch what happens where instead of just clicking, I click and drag. You'll see that it kind of turns into like a curved shape. And you're like, well, I wanted to stop doing that. To stop it from doing that, click back in the circle, and you're back to doing angles. If you want to curve it again, click and drag. I suggest you try curving it. And then click, and then go back to your original starting point. And now it's enclosed. You still have the pen tool selected. Whenever you want to switch away from these tools, you can come up to the selector tool, and you'll notice that the hotkey for that is V. I often use that key. That's a good one to know. Just so that you don't have to go up there to start messing with this, to be done drawing. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you're going to keep drawing all over. All right, so now what I want to do, the reason I didn't color this one in before is because I want to show you that we can color them in at the same time. I showed you how to do it before by dragging up over these shapes, but I can't do that here because there's other shapes in the way. Instead, I can click on my newest shape, hold my Shift key down, and click on the next one below it. Notice how only those two are selected. The box might be going around other things, but whatever I do is only going to affect these two items. So I'm going to fill them with maroon, and then I'll do both borders with pink. And there it is. You have now created text with shadow. You've worked with color and a color palette. You've made an oval, a circle, a rectangle, a perfect square, a rounded square, a triangle, a star, and a few blobs. In the next video, it'll get more complicated. When you're ready to export your drawing, make sure you have saved it. Make sure you don't start exporting until the word synchronizing has gone. And then click on File, Export, and whatever kind of image you want. If you want a PNG image, that means the background will be see-through, transparent. If you choose JPEG, you'll have that white background. I'm going to choose PNG. And that is it. Again, my name is Sherry Sloan. You can find me at theladygeek.com. Also feel free to subscribe to my channel for more education, integration software ideas and tips. Okay, see you later. Bye now.